Yeah. Melon in that. They're all caught up in that. All natural sugar and stuff.
I bought from man, I can't use it. With my arms just get like super
irritated. They might put cornstarch. Yeah. They put cornstarch in it. They say that cornstarch to do that. But there's some other stuff you can use.
It would be you have like a powdery one or like a liquid type.
It ain't gonna be liquid. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Go get you one. It's under the table back there.
From two different people.
Watch what you want.
I feel like something cutting out of the jug. Stop that whole bit like a wound under there.
That's what the lady was saying in the video. She said some people use the cornstarch. So I use this because our skin is sensitive. You need the cornstarch to make it irritating. And I was trying to hold out to y'all brought into the switch over. I was trying to hold out so I can get everybody on board. That hallelujah. I need to get that too. Yeah, see, everybody needs to have their playing around.
I bought that one because I left my Bible at the clock. I never went back and got it. I'll never remember.
Let's pray, y'all.
Man, you got stuff highlighted on What's this scripture? I didn't even know this was in here.
All the ones that orange is the same letter.
Are y'all familiar with how we praying? No. Normally we facing east toward Jerusalem. That's part of the scriptures. Okay. So what we do is we read through the law and then we'll pray.
All right. All minds clear? This is Deuteronomy chapter 6 at verse 4. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. Exodus or Shemot chapter 20 at verse 3. We will have no other mighty ones against the Most High. We will not make any carved image or any likeness of that which is in Shamayim above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. We will not bow down to them, nor serve them. Yahuwah is a jealous El, visiting the wickedness of the fathers on the children, to the third and fourth generation of those that hate him, but showing kindness to thousands of those who love him and keep his commandments. We will not bring the name of Yahuwah to nothing. For Yahuwah will not leave us unpunished. Who brings his name to nothing. We will remember the Shabbat day. To keep it Kodesh. 6 days we will labor. We'll do all our work. But the seventh day is the Shabbat. Yahuwah. For in 6 days Yahuwah made Shamayim and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore, Yahuwah Barak the Shabbat day. We will respect our fathers and our mothers, so that our days are long upon the earth. We will not murder. We will not commit adultery. We will not steal. We will not bear false witness against our neighbor. We will not covet anything that is our neighbor.
Father, Yahweh, we give thanks for this day, for the set apart day, Father, to give your name the reverence, Father. Father, we pray and ask, Father, that you would give understanding, Father, as the word goes forth, Father, that you would give utterance unto the speaker and understanding unto the hearer, so that we all may be doers of your word. We pray for those who may still be in transit, Father, that you allow them to make it here safely. For those who are listening and watching and those who are in attendance, Father, that you would just impart wisdom upon each and every one of us, Father. Allow your word to go forth unimpeded and unhindered. Allow it to be received with thanksgiving, Father. All these things we pray and we give thanks for Shemi Huwawa and Kaya Hoshua Hamashiach Waka Kodesh.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. What kind you a seat, sir?
Sheila, you left her. Come get her. Sheila, I'm here.
Nothing.
All right, Shabbat Shalom. Everybody doing? Oh, before we get started, before we do our lesson, when we have visitors, we ask that you just stand and give your name, who invited you, you know what I'm saying, so we can just give y'all some acknowledgement. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Cherish. Nice meeting everybody.
That's all you're doing.
Y'all always welcome. Don't be a stranger. Come back. Like we always say, you're amongst family. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the lesson, if you have any questions, hold them to like the end. Unless it's like directly pertaining to what we talking about. Any other questions, we always answer all questions at the end. So if you got to write it down, remember it, whatever. But feel free.
How familiar are you guys with the faith or with the? Is that like how did you you've been exposed to what like?
Well, Aaron really dropped the word for me when I was jail.
Okay.
And he got Bible study there.
Okay. Okay. So you kind of familiar here. All right. Cool.
All right. Today. Title of the lesson is Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. What? Now, anybody got any ideas what this could possibly be talking about?
Looking at yourself.
Looking at yourself in the mirror?
Yeah.
Vanity? Do anybody look at themselves in the mirror on a daily basis? How many of y'all? No. That was Elder Martin saying no. I don't believe it. You look too smooth. You come up here and talk to you, look at yourself in the mirror. Okay.
Saying that on a daily basis.
Look, your wife gonna tell you. He be in the bathroom 5 hours. All right. So it's a rhetorical question. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see? Rhetorical. She said beauty. That's what's up. Well, we're gonna look at this in a different type of way today, right? do some self-reflecting. It's not going to be long, but hopefully it's felt, right? 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. This is one you gotta look at the page before you separate the pages.
Man, these pages, they already know what it is.
Who's the fairest of them all? Now, Quab did a lesson last week about the disease of fame, right? So, I won't say it's like going all the way tie into it, but it's closely related. 13. Second. 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5.
2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. Examine yourselves.
Do what now?
Examine yourselves.
One more time.
Examine yourselves.
That's that mirror thing we was talking about, right? Examine yourself, right? Go ahead.
Whether you be in the faith. Prove your own self.
Do what now?
Prove your own self.
Use somebody else to prove you.
Prove your own self.
He says, prove your own self. What does that mean? Check yourself. Test yourself, right? Read on.
Know you not your own selves.
He said what?
Know you not your own selves.
Know you not your own self? Do you know yourself? Or do you just know what you look like because you're in the mirror every day? I thought that was kind of a deep question when I asked it to myself reading, so I just thought I'd repeat it. Do you just know what you look like, or do you actually know yourself? All right, read on.
Know you not your own selves, how that Yeshua HaMashiach is in you, except you be reprobate.
So he says, know you not yourself, that Mashiach is actually in you unless you be a reprobate. So this is a part of that looking at yourself and examining yourself in the mirror, right? Because if he's not found in you, the only way you will know if he's not in you, right? Because he said to test yourself, see whether you're in the faith. So if you find that he's not in you, that means that you are a what? Reprobate, right? Now, if you're a reprobate, that means, and you can say that you're a reprobate, that means that you can try to do some stuff to fix that, reverse that, right? When we look at this text, the first thing we say is check yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, right? So I was looking through, and I see it was a couple type of people that look at themselves in the mirror, right? You don't have to say which one is you. So I said you got some of us who, when we look in the mirror, we don't see nothing wrong. We looking carnally at ourselves. We like, oh man, my head at that. Right? Look at my skin, it's silky smooth. Right? That outfit is right about to kill him. Right? Then you got the people that look in the mirror and weigh themselves based on what they've seen out of other people. So, man, my hair ain't laid like homegirls was. Or use your phone. But you weigh yourself based on what you've seen out of other people. Because you see other people more than you see yourself. Am I right? So when you go back and you look in the mirror, you're looking at yourself, comparing yourself to what somebody else looked like, how somebody else wore this outfit. If I can pull this off like they did, right? Is that a good way to weigh yourself? To look at yourself? Or do we do it?
Yeah.
Then you got people who look at themselves in the mirror and look directly past everything that they see. And look on the inner part. How hard is that? You go into the mirror and you looking at yourself and you look past the person that you're looking at to look inside. Not many people that I've seen do it. Right? What's the quickest way to deceive yourself? Think everything is good? It's another way. It's another quick way to deceive yourself. Pertaining to what we talking about. Not necessarily denial. What'd you say? Go against the law? Nope. I mean, yeah, but not in this sense. The quickest way to deceive yourself is to believe everything that you see. Right? That's the quickest way to deceive yourself, is to believe what you see. You see something before you hear it. Kind of. Right? Let's think about Eve in the garden. Right? She was told not to eat from a certain tree. How was she deceived? What deceived her? Get Genesis 3 right quick. Because she was told by Adam, hey, don't eat of this tree, don't even touch it, right? But how was she deceived? Saw that it was beautiful. Genesis 3, pick it up at verse 5.
Genesis 3 and 5. For Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
So he said, your eyes gonna be open, and you're gonna know good and evil, right? Read on.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food.
When she did what?
When she saw that the tree was good for food.
When she saw it. So she didn't just believe him just because he said it. She had to go and do what? She had to go see for herself. Because at one point she looking at the tree and say, oh no, this ain't right. If I eat it, I'm gonna die. Right? So she had to, now she's looking at it at a completely different light. Beforehand, she didn't see that this was a tree that was good for food. She's looking at that like, man, that tree gonna cause me death. Read.
And that it was pleasant to the eyes.
And that it was what now?
Pleasant to the eyes.
Didn't it always look the same? But right now, it's pleasant to the eyes. And what else she do? A tree that was what?
And a tree to be desired.
To be what now?
To be desired. To make one wise.
So it took for her to see this, and now when she see it, she's desiring it. It's inside of her now. It's festering now. Beforehand, it was like, I say, man, that tree gonna get us killed. Now it's a whole different ball game when she's looking at it. The quickest way to deceive yourself is to believe everything that you see. So again, when you look in the mirror, right, and you see the person that you see, you looking all dapper, or you're looking good to yourself. Oh man, look, I'm killing them to death. Do you actually believe that you, as a person, are as good as you look? Matter of fact, if you work as hard on making the person on the inside look as good as the person on the outside, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Right? Okay. Let's get James chapter 1. Pick it up at verse 22.
James chapter 1 and verse 22. But be ye doers of the word.
Be you what now?
Be you doers of the word.
Be you doers of the word. Go ahead.
And not hearers only. Deceiving your own selves.
Doing what?
deceiving your own selves.
Is it hard or easy to deceive yourself? Easy? You already have a deceptive member inside of your body. Get Jeremiah chapter 17. There's already a deceptive member inside of your body. You're born with it. You have it. It's a part of your flesh. Right? Jeremiah 17 and 9.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 9. The heart is deceitful above all things.
It's what now?
The heart is deceitful above all things.
This is already a member. Can you take your heart out? No. It says deceitful above all things. So you already have a deceptive member inside of your body that's working against you before you even know that it was deceptive. Before you read this scripture, it was already in you and it was already deceptive. Make sense? So when it says over here in James to deceive not yourself, that makes it that much harder because it's already something in you that's pulling on you. That's there to deceive you. Let's go back to James chapter 1. Matter of fact, keep reading that right quick.
The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked.
And who?
And desperately wicked.
Desperately wicked. Read.
Who can know it?
Who can what?
Who can know it?
Who can know it? I know myself. I know myself. I know I ain't gonna do this. I know I ain't gonna do that. How many times you said that and then went against yourself? Plenty, right? That member is there to deceive you, right? So when we look at that word that Eve used and said the serpent beguiled me, right? I think that word is, hold on, let me see. You got it? Because I spelled it out in the pictograph. I just want to mention that before we move forward. Yep. 14. Verse 14. What's that word?
All right. It's from H 5377. Beguiled. Nashar.
Nashar, right?
To beguile, deceive.
Mm-hmm.
To be beguiled, to beguile, deceive. And the Strong's is root, to lead astray. That is, mentally to delude, morally to seduce.
To be mentally or morally seduce, to deceive, right? So in the pictograph, what those characters read was the seed or activity to consume your strength or your leader. The seed or the person or the activity to consume or destroy your strength or your leader. So who was Eve's head or strength or leader at the time? Adam. So the serpent talking to her and her doing what she did led to what? The destruction of her leader, her head. All right. So now, where does our strength lie in? Our strength now lies in the Most High, right? And for it to lie in the Most High, then it has to be rooted in faith. So when you're deceived, it's ruining that strength that you have to believe on the Father, your faith, right? So keep that in mind as we move through this. So James 1 and 22 again. One and 22. James 1 and 22 again. There you go.
James chapter 1 and verse 22. Be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves.
Mm-hmm.
For if any be a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like a man beholding his natural face in a glass.
He's like a man doing what?
Beholding his natural face in a glass.
What is this talking about? Looking in the mirror. Right? He said, if you be a hearer and not a doer, it's like a man looking into a mirror. And what else?
For he beholds himself and goes his way, and straightway forgets what manner of man he was.
What do that mean? Oh, not necessarily fall off. Just on a natural level. What is he saying here? So he said, being a hearer and not a doer is like going and looking in the mirror at yourself. And then once you walk away from the mirror, you forget how you look. Now, on the spiritual side, what is this saying?
The rubber band when you doing wrong, and you done did wrong so much that you just think you think you're doing wrong no more. You think it's okay.
To a degree. But when you look at yourself, you see yourself one way, but you don't know who you are inside, or you can't hold on to the person that you are inside of you. So when you walk away from that mirror, you don't even know who you are. You don't know what you're capable of, right? So just like when we come around each other, right? I'm looking at every one of y'all. Y'all looking at me. We dress up ourselves every Shabbat and we come in here and portray righteousness when we here, right? We don't do no sinning in here. Hopefully we don't, right? But what happens when you leave here? Are you the same person that you were when you were sitting right here when you leave here? I seen a video. A brother was saying it was a funny video. A brother was on his way to church. He had his tie on and everything, playing gospel music, right? Clapping, driving, right? Soon as he left out of church, yeah, all right, Pastor, and drove out of the parking lot of the church. He turned on DMX, right? What's up, man? You know what I'm saying? I'm out of church now, man. F this, right?
Yeah, right.
Even though it was a funny video, it was true. Because a lot of people come in one way and ain't the same when they're not here. So I'm going to ask again, when you look at yourself in the mirror, are you looking at you or are you looking at the inner you? When you go to change what you see in the mirror, do you just comb your hair or do you comb through your thoughts? Right? Read verse 25.
Verse 25. But whoso looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues therein, he being not a forgetful hearer.
What is it?
Being not a forgetful hearer.
What does it mean to be a forgetful hearer? You don't remember, right? So you'll come in here, you learn something, and because you don't practice it, study it, follow it, the next time you come, like, yeah, so what was we talking about last week?
Not a trick.
Or you test it.
Go ahead.
Or when you test it, you can forget.
Indeed. So like you said, we going through a lesson, right? One of my magnificent brothers on the side done brought out, and then that same thing happened to you in your life, and you don't remember how to get out of it because you're not putting into action the stuff that you're hearing. Read.
But a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed.
All right. Get Luke chapter 6. So this is a person that say that they believe, right? And only looking on the carnal, not looking at the spiritual, not looking at the inner person, because the life's issues that you have with yourself are not with everybody else. It's with you. But a lot of times we get to the point where we're comfortable enough with how I am as a person that everybody else is the problem. Right? Luke chapter 6 and verse 47.
Luke chapter 6 and verse 47. Whosoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does them, I will show you to whom he is like.
Matter of fact, start at verse 46. I'm sorry.
Verse 46. And why call you me master, master, and do not the things which I say?
So this is talking about that forgetful hearer, right? Why you calling on me master? Why you saying my name? What you calling me for if you're not gonna do what I said do? Read.
Whosoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does them, I will show you to whom he is like.
Who is he like? Go ahead.
He is like a man who built a house and dig deep and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood rose, the stream beat vehemently upon the house and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock.
So he says that the person that actually do what I said is like a person that dug deep and laid his foundation on a rock, right? I want you guys to get Deuteronomy chapter 32. Pick it up at verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 at verse 1. Give ear, O you heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain. My speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of Yahuwah. Ascribe ye greatness unto our Elohim.
Because he is our what?
He is the rock.
He is the what?
He is the rock.
And what?
His work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment. A Elohim of truth, and without iniquity, just and right is he.
So when he says that you laid your foundation on a rock, of course he's talking about building a house in this aspect, but who is the rock that he talking about putting that foundation on? Him, right? Read verse 49. And let's go back to Luke 6. I'm sorry, read verse 49 when we get there.
Luke 6. Luke 6 and 49. Luke 6 and 49. But he that hears and does not is like a man that without a foundation built a house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell.
And did what?
Immediately it fell.
And immediately it fell. It didn't even hold up for a second. Because you heard what he said, but you didn't take it into action. You didn't apply it to yourself. So when you go back to this mirror, instead of saying, dang, I need to do more for the Most High. Dang, I need to do this. Dang, I need to do that. Next time I can't go against his word. You like, damn, my lineup ain't right. Dang, she cut my edges too. Right? Instead of actually paying attention to what's going, the outside ain't gonna help you. The flesh can't go with you into the kingdom. No, at all. Flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom, even though you look at flesh and blood every day in the mirror. Right? Deuteronomy chapter 30. Verse 19. Actually, we're going to start at verse 17.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30 and verse 17.
Verse 15.
Deuteronomy, chapter 30 and verse 15. See, I have set your heart, and you may do it. I'm sorry. See, I have set before you this day life and good, and death and evil. In that I command you this day to love Yahuwah your Elohim, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that you may live and multiply, and Yahuwah your Elohim shall increase you in the land where you go to possess it. But if your heart turn away,
if your what now?
If your heart turn away, that you will not hear.
That you will not what?
That you will not hear.
That forgetful hearer, right? Go ahead.
But shall be drawn away
Mm-hmm.
and worship other gods and serve them.
What do you do?
I denounce unto you this day that you shall surely perish, and that you shall not prolong your days upon the land where you go. I'm sorry, where you pass over Jordan to go to possess it.
Now he told you, he said before you, life and good and death and evil, right? What is the life and good? What's the life and good? The commandments, the law, the word. Verse 19.
Verse 19. I call Shamayim and Eretz to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, increasings and cursing. Therefore, choose life.
Do what?
Choose life, that both you and your seed may live.
It's the kicker right here. Verse 20.
That you may love Yahuwah, your Elohim, and that you may and that you may obey his voice, and that you may cleave unto him. For he is your life.
For he is what?
For he is your life.
He is your life. So when he say choose life and good or death and evil, I'm telling you to choose life. He's saying choose me. Right? But how can you choose him if you're so busy worried about you? Right? You Rico Suave when you leave the crib. Right? What you say? Pretty Ricky what they call it. Right? Read verse 20 again.
Verse 20. That you may love Yahuwah your Elohim, and that you may obey his voice, and that you may cleave unto him. For he is your life, and the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which Yahuwah sware unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them.
Go back to James chapter 1. Get verse 25 again.
The book of James, chapter 1 and verse 25. But whoso looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the word, this man shall be increased in his deed. If any man among you seem to be religious.
If he seem to be what?
Seems to be religious.
Now what this means? The man among you seem to be religious. A lot of them brothers say, man, the word religion ain't even in the Bible. What does this mean right here when he says a man? What does the word religious mean anyway? Unnecessarily. Look it up right quick. Religious. So this says Elohim, worshiping of Elohim, right? In here. This is verse 26. So we know what is that word in the Greek right here?
Irakos, fearing or worshiping Elohim, to tremble.
So it's fearing or worshiping Elohim, right? A person that's actually saying that they worship in the Most High, right? Religion is to do something over and over, like, oh, he goes to the park religiously, right? So this is talking about a person who fears Elohim, worships Elohim, right? So it says, if any man among you seems to be religious, is that a bad thing? Not in this case. Read on.
If any man among you seem to be religious and bridles not his tongue.
And do what now?
Bridles not his tongue, but deceives his own heart.
Now, it's possible to deceive something that's already deceived? We'll get to it. It said, and bridles not his tongue, but do what?
But deceives his own heart. This man's religion is in vain.
So it says, if this person seems to be religious, but they can't bridle their tongue, they can't hold their tongue, they can't watch their mouth, their religion or their worshiping is in vain. It's empty. Let's see an example of that. Get Numbers 12. When he's coming out of the wilderness, who are the three people that the children of Israel looked to? Number one was who? Moshe. Who are the two that followed? Anybody know? Aaron and Miriam. Numbers 12 and 1.
Book of Numbers, chapter 12 and verse 1. And Miriam and Aharon spake against Moshe.
They did what?
Spake against Moshe. Because of the Ethiopian woman.
Now they couldn't watch their mouth. Beforehand, everybody looking at, oh man, that's Aaron, that's Miriam, that's Moses, that's Moses' brother and sister. When it came time to make that calf, who they gonna holler at? Aaron, right? Pretty sure Miriam was a woman highly esteemed in the congregation as well. They just couldn't watch their mouth. So now he's saying, anybody that seemed to be religious among you, but can't watch their mouth, it's in vain. Read on.
Because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, have Yahuwah indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken also by us? And Yahuwah heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek.
So now they looking at themselves like, man, in that mirror, right? He spoke by me too. I ain't no chump, right? I ain't not a lowly, right? Go ahead.
Now the man Moses was very meek, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And Yahuwah spake suddenly unto Moses, and unto Aharon, and unto Miriam, come out, you three, unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they came out.
So as soon as they got done talking about Moses, where was Moses at? Was he around? Was he in close proximity? Had to be. All three of y'all come out here. Right? Read on.
And the three came out, and Yahuwah came down in the pillar of the cloud, and stood in the door of the tabernacle, and called Aharon and Miriam, and they both came forth.
Don't. Right? Because they was thinking I'm this, I'm that. Right?
And look how serious it is. Yah came down for this.
Indeed.
He left from his place and came down. That's how serious this is.
Off of them just saying something?
Yeah.
Just because they spoke against him, he came off the throne. Came down from what it says sits on the circle of the earth, right? He's like, no. We're going to address this right now. Get Galatians 6 and verse 4, right quick. We're going to go right back to that story.
Book of Galatians, chapter 6 and verse 4. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone.
Hold on, wait. That's not what I'm looking for. Hold on one moment. Need this. One second. Is it? All right, get it if you got it. One moment. Get Isaiah 5:21 while we looking. One moment.
You said get Isaiah what?
Isaiah 5:21.
Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 21. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes.
And what?
The wise in their own eyes.
They thought they were saying something good, right? Oh, he done married this woman, blase, blase. We ain't supposed to be dealing with them. They thought they were saying something right. They was boasting of the things that they thought they knew. But he said, woe to them that what?
Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight.
In Yah's sight.
Own sight.
In their own sight. Read.
Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine.
All right, that's good on that. I'll find that other joint in a minute. Get back to the Numbers 12. Numbers 12.
First Corinthians 7:36.
We'll get it. Go back to Numbers chapter 12. Yep, pick it back up when it came down.
Numbers chapter 12 and verse 5. And Yahuwah came down in a pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called out Aaron and Miriam. And they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yahuwah, will make myself known unto him in a vision and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moshe is not so, who is faithful in all my house.
Mm-hmm.
With him will I speak mouth to mouth.
He said, with him, I'm going to speak mouth to mouth. If there's something he did wrong, I'm going to tell him. That ain't for you. You thought you was bigger than your britches. You thought you could speak on my guy. It don't work like that. And a lot of us, when we look in that mirror, we think we're bigger than what we are. We don't consider the things of the spirit because we so busy looking at the flesh. Right? Get 1 Samuel 15 and 1.
First Samuel chapter 15 and verse 1.
This one, Saul was just anointed. All right. 1 Samuel 15 and 1.
Samuel also said unto Saul, Yahuwah sent me to anoint you to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore, hearken you unto the voice of the words of Yahuwah. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, Now how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them
And
not.
do what now?
Spare them not,
Don't leave nothing alive. Read.
but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. And Saul gathered the people together and numbered them in Talaim.
Drop down to verse 8. So now he the king, right? He the man. He got a task to do. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive.
He done took him alive.
And utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword.
He's bigger than his britches. Right? Now everybody looking to the king like this the guy. Right? Read on.
But Saul and the people spared Agag,
Mm-hmm.
and the best of the sheep, and of the oxen, and of the fatlings, and of the lambs, and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them. But everything that was vile and refused, they destroyed utterly.
Everything that they saw that they didn't want to get. Everything that they seen that was vile, they tossed it to the side. But the stuff that looked good, they kept. Verse 13.
Verse 13. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, Increased be thou of Yahuwah. I have performed the commandment of Yahuwah.
He said, what?
I have performed the commandment of Yahuwah.
First thing he tells Samuel is a lie. He couldn't hold his tongue. You didn't even have to say that to that man. He ain't even asked you nothing yet. Oh, what's up, Samuel? Man, I did everything I was supposed to do, man. You know. He couldn't hold his tongue. Read on.
I have performed the commandment of Yahuwah. And Samuel said, What means then this bleating of the sheep in my ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear?
So if you did everything you were supposed to do, man, why I'm hearing them sheep in the background and the ox? What he said?
And Saul said, They have brought them from the Amalekites.
Who?
From the Amalekites.
Who brought them? They brought them. He the king, right? That's another lesson we're gonna go into. But drop down to verse 18.
Verse 18. And Yahuwah sent you on a journey and said, Go and utterly destroy the sinners of the Amalekites and fight against them until they be consumed. Wherefore then did you not obey the voice of Yahuwah, but did fly upon the spoil and did evil in the sight of Yahuwah?
A hearer and not a doer. Right back to that, right? Read.
And Saul said unto Samuel, Yeah, I have obeyed the voice of Yahuwah.
What did he say?
Yeah, I have obeyed the voice of Yahuwah.
Well, I told another lie. I'm looking at the king and I see the sheep. Read.
And have gone the way which Yahuwah sent me, and have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people,
But the who?
but the people
But the people did what?
took of the spoil, sheep and oxen, the chief of the things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto Yahuwah your Elohim in Gilgal.
And he said that, but the people took of the spoil and all that, right? Jump back up. Jump back up to verse 7.
Verse 7. And Saul smote the Amalekites in Havilah until you come to Shur, that is over against Egypt.
And what?
And he took
And
Agag,
who?
and he
And he took Agag the king, right? Read.
of the Amalekites alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul
and who else?
and the people
did what?
spared Agag and the best of the sheep and the oxen and of the fatlings and of the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile and refused, that they destroyed utterly.
He got bigger than his britches, right? He the king now. So now when he say, hey, did you do everything you were supposed to do? Yeah, I did it. What I took the stuff. Right? They did that. Kill them all. I ain't gonna do with that. Right? But when you look in the mirror and you see what the Most High told you to do, and you didn't do it, who you blame it on? You're supposed to blame it on the person you see. A lot of us be like, man, but I would have did it, but such and such, they just was, and such made me say, right? Supposed to keep the Shabbat, but since we in captivity, man, you know, we ain't got no rest anyway. You bigger than yourself. He said, don't call me master, master, and then don't do what I say. Get Isaiah chapter 44. Verse 1. Let's see how he feel about it.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 44, at verse 1. The book of Isaiah, chapter 44, and verse 1. Yet now, hear, O Jacob, my servant, in Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus says Yahuwah, that made you, and formed you from the womb, which will help you. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and you, Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my ruach upon your seed, and my increasing upon your offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the water.
So this is what the Father is saying that he gonna do. His word don't return unto him void, right? So everything he say he gonna do, that's it, right? Read on.
One shall say, I am Yahuwah's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahuwah, and surname himself by the name of Yisrael. Thus saith Yahuwah, the King of Yisrael, and his Redeemer, Yahuwah of hosts. I am the first, and I am the last, and besides me there is no Elohim.
Now I do gotta address this. Read that verse again.
Thus saith Yahuwah, the King of Israel.
Thus saith who?
Yahuwah, the King of Israel.
Because a lot of people say that this verse is saying that it's only one, right? This show right here, the Mashiach ain't real. He says, thus saith Yahuwah,
the King of Israel.
The King of Israel.
And his Redeemer.
And his Redeemer.
Yahuwah of hosts.
Is this one or two? Just asking. I'm just asking. Right? So the king said something and then made mention of who? The Redeemer. So who is this talking? The Redeemer. Go ahead.
I am the first, and I am the last. And besides me, there is no Elohim.
Yeah.
And who, as I, shall call and shall declare it and set it in order for me, since I appoint the ancient people and the things that are coming and shall come, let them show unto them. Fear you not, neither be afraid. Have not I told you from that time, and have declared it? You even my witnesses.
You are my witnesses. How many of us have seen the Father? Right? So the people that he talking about as his witnesses had to do what? See him. Read.
You are even my witnesses. Is there Elohim besides me? Yeah, there is no Elohim. I know not any.
Right? So now this is him explaining everything that he was going to do, right? Also explaining that I done told you about this already. There's no excuse. How many of us don't know the commandments? And if you don't know, just get to know, right? How many of us don't know the will of the Father? When you look in that mirror, are you void of understanding of what's going on? No, right? Let's see what happens. Yep, verse 9.
Verse 9. They that make a graven image are all of them vanity.
Are all of them what now?
Vanity. And their delectable things shall not profit. And they are their own witnesses.
They are their what now?
Their own witnesses.
You your own witness. Read.
They see not, nor know that they may be ashamed.
You looking at yourself, you thinking that you got it together, but don't even realize the shame that's coming on you. Because you choose not to go with what the Most High said, but you gonna rock with what you see yourself in that mirror. All right? Read on.
Behold, all his fellows shall be ashamed, and the workmen, they are many. Let them all be gathered together. Let them stand up. Yet they shall fear, and they shall be ashamed together.
Good.
The smith with the tongs.
So he's talking about them making a god of their own now, right? So whereas he told them who he was and how he get down and what he was going to do, now they standing up and making a god to themselves. Not saying that they don't know who the Most High is, but they're choosing to do it their way. Read.
The smith with the tongs both works in the coals and fashions it with hammers, and works it with the strength of his arms. Yet he is hungry, and his strength fails. He drinks no water, and is faint.
He said he drinks no water and is faint. He hungry and he thirsty, right? What do verse 3 say of this same chapter?
For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon dry ground.
Now we looking at a person who's saying, "Now I'm gonna do it my way." Now he thirsty and hungry, right? Jump back over to verse 13.
Verse 13. The carpenter stretches out his rule. He marks it out with a line. He fits it with planes, and he marks it out with the compass, and makes it after the figure of a man, according to the beauty of a man.
According to the what?
The beauty of a man.
Of what they're used to seeing, what they would call beautiful in a man, right? Read.
That it may remain in the house. He hewn him down cedars, and take the cypress and the oak, which he stretches for himself among the trees of the forest. He plants an ash, and the rain does nourish it. Then shall it be for a man to burn, for he will take thereof and warm himself. Yea, he kindles it and bakes bread. Yea, he makes a god and worships it. He makes it a graven image and falls down thereto. He burns part thereof in the fire. With the part thereof he eats flesh. He roasts and is satisfied. Yeah, he warms himself and says, "Aha, I am warm. I have seen the fire."
So he done created this God to use it. He done bowed down to it. He done worshiped it. Now he using part of it in the fire. He's destroying part of it to warm himself. I'm warm now. Look what my God did for me. Idiot. Keep going.
Verse 17. And the residue thereof, he makes a god, even his graven image. He falls down unto it.
He worshipped the thing that he made. Yeah?
And worshipped it, and prays unto it, and says, "Deliver me, you are my God." They have not known nor understood, for he have shut their eyes.
He have done what?
Have shut their eyes.
Who shut their eyes? Read.
That they cannot see, and their hearts, that they cannot understand.
So a lot of people will say, right here, when you see that he has shut their eyes that they cannot see and their hearts that they can't understand, well, we don't have a choice, right? He made us this way. Well, if that's the case, then what do I need to do what's right for anyway? If it's already set up that I'm going to do wrong, then why should I go and try to do the right thing if it's already set up? How many of y'all believe that at one point in time or still have a thought about it now? Right? This is the age-old question. Let's look at an example. It's definitely a choice. Exodus chapter 1. One and one.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 1.
Actually, start at verse 5.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 5. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already, and Joseph died, and his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
Who did what?
Which knew not Joseph.
So the Pharaoh that knew Joseph was rocking with the children of Israel. Y'all have your own stuff. Y'all do what y'all do, right? But again, the reason we came here is because there's a notion that the Most High create who he create, how he create them. And that's it. If he created you to be evil, then you evil. If he created you to be good, then you good. But with that type of ideology, there is no such thing as choice. Does that make sense? Our Elohim don't operate like that. We're going to show you. Good.
And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falls out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us.
Mm-hmm. So he said, let's deal wisely with them, right? Because if some pop off, they want our enemies. They're going to be one of our enemies just like everybody else. They're going to join them. It's more of them than anything right now, right? Read.
And so get them up out of the land. Mm-hmm. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. Mm-hmm. And they built for Pharaoh treasured cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, on which the name of one was Shepharah, and the name of the other was Puah, and said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
So we understand right here that Pharaoh, this particular Pharaoh, said, look, in order for us to take control of the children of Israel, first off, we got to put them in hard bondage, right? Made them serve a rigor. He thought that was going to do something. Children of Israel grew from that. Then he said, you know what? Too many of them. Start killing the boys. Why do you kill the boys? So they can't reproduce. They can't multiply, right? Now, do me a favor. Now, did he do this under any other influence other than his own mind? That's him, right? Did the Most High do this? Did the Most High create him to do this? Exodus 4:21.
Exodus chapter 4 and verse 21. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, when you go to return to Egypt, see that you do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand. But I will harden his heart.
That I will do what?
I will harden his heart,
Mm-hmm.
that he shall not let the people go.
Why? He already showed he was evil. He already played his hand. So now the Most High can act accordingly. That's the same way it go with everybody. Everybody got a choice. You given a hand. The way that you play it is the way that he gonna capitalize on it. Exodus chapter 7. Pick it up at verse 3, verse 2.
Exodus 7 and 2. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aharon your brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not listen unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring forth my armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgment.
This only happened because Pharaoh drew first blood. So because you play your cards the way you play them, now the Most High say, okay, now you're a reprobate. Remember that reprobate we was talking about in the beginning? Now he can do what he gonna do with you because you chose to. When all you had to do was, when you looked at that mirror, look past the makeup, look past the bundles, right? Look past the waves and the beard. Look past the Versace and the look past it. None of it mean nothing. It ain't going nowhere with you. You gotta look past that stuff and say, what's going on inside? Or else you're gonna be one of those people that look at yourself in the mirror and walk away and don't even know who you really are. All right? Go back to James chapter 1. What was the other type of person that we was talking about? A person that weigh themselves by what they see in others, right? And we said we all done it. We all done been there. Some of us still do it. All right? Verse 23.
James chapter 1 and verse 23. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholds himself and goes his way, and straightway forgets what manner of man he was. But whoso looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be increased in his deed.
So now we looking at person that go into that mirror and they base what they see off of what they see in outside of that mirror, right? So if I see Brother Nemo, right, he got on this jogging outfit, he killing it. So now when I go get my jogging outfit and I look in the mirror and I don't look how he made it look, right? I'm like, nah, this ain't gonna work. Why? It's the same jogging fit. But I ain't killing like he killed it. He made it look a whole. You got the same thing on. So he got the swag to go with it. What is it? He got the it factor, right? Swag. And that's what a lot of people go through. No. This ain't right. It don't even look good because it don't look like how hers look, right? I'm too fat for this. I saw Beyonce wear it like this, and she looked like this. It's not gonna work for me. Wow, hips. Yes. They too wide, right? Who been through it before? Right? Now, flip that on the spiritual side. That's what we do the same thing, right? You see a brother who looks to be righteous. Oh man, that brother, man. Every time I come in here, that brother got the precepts, man. Did you see his garment last week? That boy fringes was He always got on the garment. Every time I see him, he got to be doing the right thing. Or that sister, you see how quiet she is? See how soft-spoken she is? She neat. She ain't never go through no issues at the house. Right? Look at that brother. He always talking against polygamy and stuff. That's a good brother right there. I know.
You fast, baby. Oh, hey, that baby, you got fast, baby.
Right? That's a good brother right there. Right? Look how he hold his wife's hand and when they get. That's a good brother right there. Right? She get his plate every week. That's a good sister right there. The brother sit back and say, man, I want my wife to be like that. If my wife was just like her, I would be all right. And have no idea what type of hell that may go on in their household at home. Because you basing what you going through or your life off of what you see. Psalm 73:1. Let's see what David said. I hit a couple nerves up in this one.
I don't want no extra.
Cut it out, brother. Cut it out.
The book of Psalms, chapter 73, and verse 1.
Go ahead.
Truly, Elohim is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart.
Of a what?
Of a clean heart.
That's a stipulation to the people that he good to. That means just because you look a certain way, right? That don't mean that y'all good to you. Just because you have attained a certain thing in your life, that don't mean that y'all good to you. Because he said that he good to a person that got a what? How many of you can see a clean heart? It said the heart is deceitfully wicked. Or what did it say? Desperately wicked. Who can know it? But he said that he good to a person that got a what type of heart? Let's see why he's saying this. Go ahead.
But as for me.
But as for who?
But as for me.
But as for me, my what?
My feet were almost gone.
What that mean? Good.
My steps had well near slipped.
Almost fell off. Why?
For I was envious at the foolish.
Because he was what now?
I was envious at the foolish. When I saw the prosperity of the wicked.
So he said, I almost slipped, almost fell off because I saw the prosperity of the wicked and I was envious at the foolish. You don't base your walk. You don't base what you doing for the Most High off of what you see somebody else do. Because the minute you put your faith in what this person is doing or the person that you see, when they fall off, guess what happens to you? That you say, well, such and such did it. That brother be having the percent. Well, such and such did it. That sister always getting her husband blamed. If she can holler at him, I know I can holler at mine. For real. Right? Because you basing what you, it's just like the people nowadays, right? You see these dudes wearing dresses and this and that. Man, if he can pull it off, bruh, they don't say he can't. But when I do it, I'm straight, right? It's the same thing. But when we looking at this stuff on a spiritual level, you measure yourself by the person that you see. Father in the lesson said, don't watch me, watch y'all. Right? So if you measure yourself based off of him, and he ever falls short, which we know he ain't, man. This brother's solid as a rock. Right? What does that do for you? Right? What does that do for you? Do that put you in a place, man? Do you say, oh, man, screw that. I don't care what the brother did. I ain't falling off. Or do you say something like one of our other brothers said in the past, if you wrong, I'm wrong with you. I'm riding with you. Oh, man. No.
Son of Abraham. Lincoln.
Right? But you paying attention to what somebody else is doing. Or you measuring yourself up to, well, you know, if I come to class and I don't, you know, I gotta, if I wear this type of stuff, right? Or, you know, man, them brothers always wearing hoodies, man. So I gotta wear me a hoodie to make sure I'm tight. And stuff don't work like that. Get Galatians chapter 6 and verse 4. That's what I was thinking, Galatians 6 and 4. That I wrote down.
The book of Galatians, chapter 6 and verse 4. But let
Even in the new joint?
the book of Galatians, chapter 6 and verse 4.
Matter of fact, start at verse 1. Let's get the whole gist of it.
Chapter 6 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Brethren, if any man be overtaken in a fault, be ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness.
Now, how can any of us restore anybody if every time we go to the mirror, we only looking at our hair, nails, nose, and face? You only used to looking at the carnal. To be carnally minded is what? It's death. Right? Read.
Restore such a one in the ruach of meekness, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted.
Yeah.
Bear you one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Hamashiach. For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceives himself.
He do what?
Deceives himself.
If you think yourself to be something when you ain't nothing, you deceive yourself. So when you go in that mirror, right, and you like, man, I know I got to be righteous. That brother over there did that. I got to be doing right because at least I ain't breaking the Shabbat. I got to be doing right because at least I'm not, or at least I'm not. But if you compare yourself to a rapist, do that mean that you good? If a rapist compares himself to a murderer and says, at least I ain't kill him, do that make him righteous? If a murderer compare himself to, I don't know, one of these doctors that's giving bad medicine, do that make him righteous? If a thief compares himself to a liar, do that make him righteous? No. It don't matter who you compare yourself to that's not who you supposed to be comparing. It don't matter. Nothing of what you're doing means anything if you can't measure it up to Mashiach. Period. If you can't look in the mirror and say, of a surety, I know that he resides inside of me, it don't mean nothing. Because in order for you to get to the kingdom, you got to have who with you. This is a guest only list. Who you say you know? Why? Nah, it ain't gonna work. Right? You a plus one? For who? B who? It don't matter who name you put in there. If it's not Mashiach, you ain't getting in. Period. You cannot compare yourself to somebody else and think that it's gonna work for you. That's saying when you look at these celebrities and all that, say you don't know what it took for me to get here. You don't know what I had to go through, right? So when the people looking at David and he just beat Goliath, they like, man, I want to be like David. We're going to fight you a bear then. That was his accolade he put down, right? Man, Solomon, he got everything. He dripping with the Jews. Well, almost get killed by your brother because he was about to be king. Right? These are the things that we looking at people in these scriptures and say, man, I want to be like this person. I want to be like that person. You know, people try to name themselves after people that's in the scripture, right? Oh, I'm Samson because I'm strong. Really? Well, Samson had a building fall on him. You want to do that too? Don't compare yourself to who you think was righteous in the scriptures. He said they're going to surname themselves after who? After Yisrael, right? After righteousness. They're going to call themselves after him. Not everything else. Where we at? Keep reading where you at. Galatians chapter 6, verse 4.
But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone.
Let him prove who?
His own work.
Let him prove his own work. Prove yourself. Don't measure yourself up to everybody else, because that ain't going to get you to merit. It's based on what you do with you. Am I righteous enough to make it to the kingdom? Did I keep the commandments? Did I do my reading? Did I feed my spirit more than I fed my flesh? Read on.
And then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone.
And who?
In himself alone.
Man, I appreciate you, Brother B. Because of you, I'm righteous. Nah. It's because you look to Mashiach. All right, read on.
And not another. For every man shall bear his own burden.
Even though you can go to a brother and say, man, I got a fault, man, please hear me out, blase, blase. At the end of the day, like my Akb say, every tub got to sit on his what? His own bottom. Read.
Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teaches in all good things.
2 Corinthians chapter 10. About to close out in a minute. Pick it up at verse 11.
2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 11. Let such a one think this, that such as we are in word by letter, when we are absent, such will we be also indeed when we are present.
Mm-hmm.
For we dare not make ourselves of the number, or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves.
Say it again.
Or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves.
He said we dare not compare ourselves with the people that commend themselves. Oh man, I'm nice with this, right? You know I'm righteous, right? You know I do this. I keep the commandments, right? We don't compare ourselves with the people that's giving themselves a pat on the back. Read on.
But they measuring themselves by themselves.
But what?
Measuring themselves by themselves.
I'm gonna measure me by me. Read.
And comparing themselves among themselves are not wise.
I'm gonna measure me by me and look at what the brother did or what the sister did wrong. And if what they did was wrong and I didn't do it, I'm straight. Right? You got people out here that say if it ain't through us, it ain't the truth. Right? How dare you compare yourself to them and think that you're righteous? How dare you when they the bottom of the barrel? Get Matthew chapter 23.
The book of Matthew, chapter 23 and verse 26. 23 and verse 26. Thou blind Pharisee.
The what?
Thou blind Pharisee.
So he's talking about the Pharisees right here, right? These people were in the chief seats, had the most decorated garments, had the longest fringes you could ever see. the best knowledge that was known to man, and everybody wanted to be like them. Right? Man, if I could just look like a Pharisee. Man, if I could just have his type of knowledge. Man, if I could just be like him. Read.
You blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and the platter, that the outside of them may be clean also.
So he said, clean what's in the glass so the outside can be clean. It can be a glass that's squeaky. Think about a glass in your house. Squeaky clean. You know you done lathered this mug up with soap on the outside. Then rinsed it off until you get the right on the glass, right? But you didn't clean nothing in there. How do it look? Dirty. Still. Right? You got to clean what's inside first. Read. What else he said? Verse 27.
Verse 27. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like unto whited sepulchres.
What is that? What is a white sepulcher? A casket, right? Pretty. You a dope looking, casket, right? What do it mean to be the prettiest casket in the ground? Nothing. We amongst a world of dead, right? What does it mean to be the flyest and the freshest of the dead if inside of you look just like them? What do you say?
Which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones.
But are what now?
But are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanness.
Go ahead.
Even so, you also outwardly appear righteous unto men.
Say it again.
You also outwardly appear righteous unto men.
So we come in here every week. We all look righteous when it comes to each other. Shalom, what's up, brother? How you doing, sister? Well, what's going on the inside? What's going on when you leave here? What's going on at the crib? Are you manifesting the same energy that you give in here? Are you the same person? And even at the end of the day, that don't mean nothing. Because if you're not giving off the energy that's required of you from Mashiach, let's see what the end gonna be. Go ahead.
But within you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets.
The same thing we say, right? I wouldn't have killed off no Mashiach. What's wrong with you? I wouldn't have did that. You know how they was killing the prophet, man? I wouldn't have been a part of that. But the inner you says something totally different. Because the same things that they were saying then are the same things that you don't agree with right now. Right? Go back to 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Verse 12 again.
2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 12. For we dare not make ourselves of the number, or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves. But they, measuring themselves by themselves, and comparing themselves among themselves, are not wise. But we will not boast of things without our measure, but according to the measure of the rule which Elohim have distributed to us, a measure to reach even unto you. For we stretch not ourselves beyond our measure, as though we reached not unto you. For we are come as far as to you also in preaching the good news of Hamashiach, not boasting of things without our measure, that is, of other men's labors.
We don't boast of what?
of other men's labor.
Man, my elder, my pastor, my deacon, read.
But having hope, when your faith is increased, that we shall be enlarged by you according to our rule abundantly, to preach the good news in the regions beyond you, and not to boast in another man's line of things made ready to our hand.
Well, what?
But he that esteems, let him esteem in Yahuwah. For not he that commands himself is a Yahuwah commands.
So it don't matter who out here and the people are saying they are approved only of Yah. You don't measure yourself by what man is doing, but you measure yourself by Mashiach. And if you can't say, well, I'm doing those things that he did, I'm right where he is, where he want me at, you got some explaining to do. Because like he said, our lives is like fish caught in the net. We don't know when we leave in here. But let's just say you do leave here. And the last thing that you looked at in that mirror was only your outward appearance. Or the last thing you did as far as the inward man is compared yourself to another brother. What happens? Get James 1. James 1 and 22.
James chapter 1 and verse 22. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves.
James chapter 4, verse 17.
James 4 and 17. Therefore, to him that knows to do good and do it not, to him it is sin.
Plain and simple. When you look in that mirror and he said to examine yourself, you know what you're supposed to be doing. You know what you're not supposed to be doing. Don't use makeup to cover up the blemishes that you have as far as this world goes. Don't use cologne to mask the smell of the stink of the person that you are inwardly. That's it. That's all I got. With that one, I say shalom. Questions, comments, concerns? I hate the way you teach. Anything. Todayah. Todayah. Anything on the chat? Oh yeah. I say it's not. I mean, when we go to the mirror, the first thing you think about is, how do I look? Right? Which is not a bad thing. You want to be presentable when you go outside and you deal with people. But that same mirror that you're looking into and you presentable to people, are you making yourself presentable to Yah?
Where is the mirror at? It's law. It tells you your flaws and what's wrong with you. The law is the mirror.
First question. Derek King. Us blacks over here in America, how do we know we are from the tribe of Judah? Anyone knows?
We don't know.
Okay.
That's pretty much.
Get Isaiah 11 so we'll do this. Isaiah 11.
Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah.
From who?
From the four corners.
From where?
From the four corners.
So according to this, Judah is where at?
The four corners.
So Judah is in the four corners
of the earth.
Of the earth, not just America. So nobody knows exactly what tribe they are. So if somebody is calling themselves a priest, you don't know if you're from Levi or not. That's kind of blasphemous to do that. So nobody knows. It's why we don't rock with the chart.
Somebody suggested that video. So here's a video about the 12 tribes chart. Obliterated, I think is the term that was used in reference to the chart. Obliterated.
Destroyed, looped, bits and pieces.
That was it. That was it. There was just a lot of people answering that question. Yep, that's it. Anybody else have any questions? Ryan, Cherish, what's up? Y'all good? It's a lot of note taking going on.
That's what's up.
It's pretty clear. Cool.
All right.
So
yeah.
You're in the right place at the right time.
No doubt.
That's it. Pray out. So when we pray out, we pray and then we recite the Our Father prayer, but it's in Hebrew, so I don't think it's no hocus pocus, nothing really weird going on. It's just Hebrew.
Thanks. Shout out to Brother Eric for the donation, man. Greatly appreciated.
Anybody else want to send a donation? If anybody else want to send a donation, feel free.
That boy say he got out of the camera for that. That's where we're at.
Chosen.C1. Careful, be careful, stop. Father Yah, we give thanks for the word that went forth, Father. We stand asking that you would open your ears and incline your ear to our words, Father. We stand here on one accord, Father, asking, Father, that you would look upon us and remove anything that is unlike you, Father, that you would cleanse us, Father, renew in us a clean heart, Father. Renew our strength, Father. Allow us to continue this walk, Father. Order our steps, be a light unto our path, Father. We thank you for the words that went forth, Father. We thank you, Father, for the self-reflection, Father, for the understanding of self-reflection, Father, for that we understand that we should not just be hearers of this word that went forth, but doers, reflecting on ourselves on a daily basis, Father, examining ourselves, Father, in that mirror, which is your law, Father, comparing ourselves only by the example that you set forth, which is your Son. We thank you for the blood that was shed, Father, for the remission of our transgressions, Father. We pray and ask, Father, that you would continue to walk with us, Father, continue to use us, Father, pour into us a renewed Ruach, Father, that we are able to shed light and show someone else your goodness and your mercy, Father, that we are able to share with them the good news of your Son's death, burial, and resurrection, Father, that we are able to enlighten them according to your word, Father. We allow your Ruach to speak through us, Father, and not us ourselves. All these things, Father, we pray and we ask, Father, that you would just be with us on the daily, Father. Help us to be diligent in our walk. Help us to be attentive to your word, Father. Unto each and every person that we continue to strive in brotherly love and build relationships, Father. And all these things we pray and we give thanks. Bashem Yehovah, Benkaya Hoshua Hamashiach, Ruach HaKodesh, so be it.
So be it.
Abinu Shabbat Shemayim.
Abinu Shabbat Shemayim.
Ikadosh.
Ikadosh.
Shem Kah.
Shem Kah.
Tabo.
Tabo.
Malkut Kah.
Malkut Kah.
Yeaseh.
Yeaseh.
Ratzon Kah.
Ratzon Kah.
Barek.
Barek.
Kasher.
Kasher.
Nasha.
Nasha.
Bashemayim.
Bashemayim.
Tein Lanu.
Tein Lanu.
Hayom.
Hayom.
Likim.
Likim.
Kikanu.
Kikanu.
Uslak.
Uslak.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Eight.
Eight.
Ashmatenu.
Ashmatenu.
Kasher.
Kasher.
Sukim.
Sukim.
Anaknu.
Anaknu.
Lasher.
Lasher.
Ashmu.
Ashmu.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Wa'al.
Wa'al.
Tabinu.
Tabinu.
Lede.
Lede.
Masa.
Masa.
Ki.
Ki.
In. Hasulanu.
Hasulanu.
Min.
Min.
Hara.
Hara.
Ki.
Ki.
Laka.
Laka.
Hamam Laka.
Hamam Laka.
Wahagi Bora.
Wahagi Bora.
Wahati Pare.
Wahati Pare.
Lome.
Lome.
Mulamin.
Mulamin.
So be it.
So be it. Hallelujah.
Yeah. You remember where you left off? Exodus chapter 30. I know you Careful, be careful. One more dive, it might be over. One more dive, it might be around.
This is gonna post on YouTube.
It's already on YouTube.
They said it. That's
So I'm